up, everyone? What's going on? This is Jonathan Mathis. Welcome to my sports channel. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. The Sixers didn't give their fans a heart attack tonight because had the Sixers gone down 3-0, and if they didn't win that game tonight, man, Philadelphia emergency rooms would have been crowded tonight. The Philadelphia Phillies damn near gave their fans a heart attack last night. And had the Sixers lost this game tonight to the Miami Heat in a pivotal Game 3, it would have been a lot of people suffering from heart attacks in Philadelphia. These fans, was pulling for the Sixers to finally get a victory. They did. They were enthused to have Joel Embiid back. They were happy that he was finally back, able to play, and it served him well. With him being on the floor, he's a critical piece to that team. They need him if they're going to win basketball games. Doc Rivers, earlier in the week, spoke with conviction about how bad his team needed a victory. They were in dire need of a victory. And the Sixers, man, they got a total team effort from everyone. It was great. It was a great effort. But the best player on the floor, particularly in the second half for the Sixers, was Tyrese Maxey. Now, this young stud has made a name for himself. He has come on rather quickly for this Sixers team. And there's times this season, in fact, there's a lot of times that he's been the number 2 scoring option behind Joel Embiid. He continues to get better. He's embracing this moment with the Sixers. And, this guy was simply brilliant in the second half. His second half outburst is what created separation for the Sixers. The Sixers were able to come away with a 99-79 victory over the Miami Heat. Now, that doesn't mean the Sixers are going to win this series, because it would be asinine to say that they can beat the Miami Heat in a 7-game series. And before anyone, calls me out about it, I'm going to say why it would be asinine. It's because the Sixers have met a very good Miami Heat team. The Miami Heat are complete. They're a well-balanced team. They're stacked and loaded from top to bottom. Pat Riley has done a great job, assembling that team. And they've had tremendous success with a lot of undrafted free agents. Duncan Robinson being one of them. You go back to 2003, you got Udonis Haslem. He was huge for you. There's a lot of players on that list for that Miami Heat team in that organization that has worked out for them. And then you talk about Eric Spoelstra, the coach that he is. But back to the Sixers. The Sixers played great basketball tonight. Danny Green was sensational. Now, Danny Green used to be a Laker. So I could tell you guys this from watching him. Danny Green will have the playoff game of his life. He would look like a legend for one night, and for the rest of the series, he will completely disappear. So don't get your hopes up high for Danny Green, because Danny Green's gonna have that one performance where he kicks ass and he scores a lot of points, and then for the rest of the series, you don't hear anything about Danny Green. He just disappears. He starts bricking shots. He starts taking ill-advised shots. But he's a streaky shooter, and he's going to give you one of those games where he looks like a postseason legend. But Danny Green and Tyrese Maxey was sensational. With 21 points apiece, they were terrific. James Harden chipped in with 17 points. Joel Embiid had a lot of help. He wasn't his best, and I didn't expect him to be at his best. But his presence again was massive on both ends of the floor, and he finished with 18 points. It probably had a lot to do with the mask, because a lot of players complain about the discomfort of wearing the mask. And sometimes, that has a negative effect on a player's game, and you don't always see them perform at their best because that mask to them is something they're not used to having on their face. But hey, the Sixers, they won a game. I'm sure Philly fans are happy. I'm sure Philly fans are feeling a little bit better now, knowing that the Sixers have won a game in this series. And the Sixers now, they have a chance to tie, the series. They have a chance to even things up, and there was times in this game where the Miami Heat looked like they were on the verge of pulling off this comeback and taking the game away from the Sixers. I mean, it was almost as if it was a near heartbreaker brewing in the second half. But the Sixers will always have an answer for the Heat. Even though the Heat were able to trim the lead in the second half, Philly would always respond. And it was mostly Tyrese Maxey or either Danny Green knocking down those big shots when they needed them. And that was the difference. Again, Tyrese Maxey's second half performance, who was simply brilliant, created separation for the Sixers. The Sixers were able to explode offensively because of Tyrese Maxey's production. And Tyrese Maxey is one of those players who never gives up on the play. He keeps playing. He raised his game to the next level after the second half. He made the adjustments, because in the first half, he was playing poorly. He had 0 points, if I'm correct, in the first half. So, I mean, it wasn't his best stuff, but then he was able to polish his game up for the second half. He adjusted his style of play, and he came out swinging. He came out of the gate swinging in that second half, and he was basically getting any shot he wanted. In the first half, I felt like Joel Embiid was outrunning the Miami Heat. And things were just clicking for the Sixers in the first half, even though Maxey was ice cold and couldn't really get, anything going in the first half. But, I feel like Tyrese Maxey is one of those players that's going to give you a lot of points in the second half. He's a second half player. I can see that. That's been his pattern. He seems to pick it up in the second half, and the Sixers, man, they needed this win at home. They love playing at home in front of their crowd. I mean, it could be a lot of pressure for the Sixers because, hey, we all know how Sixer fans can be, how Philly fans can be. If you don't perform well, you're going to get booed. So that puts a lot of pressure on a team having to perform well. I'm glad they got the W because now Philly fans, don't have to rush to the hospital. They don't need to go get a checkup or have to be, confined to a hospital bed after this one because the Phillies, the Philadelphia Sixers, won a basketball game, and that is a sign of relief if you are a Sixers fan. I'll see you guys later. Let me get back to this. Let me get back to the Suns and Dallas Mavericks game. I'll talk to you guys later. Don't forget to subscribe. You guys take care. Peace.